right, welcome to Jack Dodson's Racing Insider News this week, presented by Papa John's. Everybody enjoyed the pizza?
Yeah.
It was good. It was good.
Great.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Really good. Really
Yeah,
good.
we usually just going to leave it over there and let us starve all night.
Papa John.
I mean,
All right. Go ahead, Scott.
we got to thank our marketing partners, right? That's how we correctly say it. I can find the right. Where's all my stuff at? Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
I got it.
All right, let's go.
All right, we got to thank Langley Speedway, Performance Plus Motor Oil, Safety Clean, Black Acid Apparel. If you want one shirt, 50 shirts, 1,000 shirts, it will take care of it. Factory Canopies. These are some nice chairs. We don't let Jack sit in these, but these are nice chairs.
I'll let the guests have the chairs. I'm not
And
going to keep saying that every week now.
maybe you will. MPM Marketing, if you need some help with your social media accounts, Tanya will help you, even if you need a suit, helmet. She's got
A
connections.
onesie to wear to bed like
Hey.
Scott's got.
Whatever it takes. I look good. That's all that matters. Pepsi, Mountain Dew are for our drinks. Bonder at Brothers Distillery.
Hey, and Robert this weekend up at Martinsville fed me pretty good. I mean, I don't know where he got that sausage from that he fixed me on the other morning or Saturday morning, but I'm going to tell you something. He told me, he said, I'd never eat another piece of any other type of sausage when I eat that. He said, no, right, that was some good stuff.
GAC, Great American Company. Virginia 811 and NC 811. And then Blackwater Station Grill. I think it grill. So thank those guys. We couldn't do it without them. And
Eddie Clark says he thinks you ought to have memorized them by now.
you would think that. I mean, that's probably what's half the problem. When I get down the backstretch, I'm thinking, is this turn 3 or is it turn?
And we've seen that. We've seen that, so we know that's true. All right, let's go with the Smiths Wraps and Graphics Racing Roundup this week. In the Cup Series, Denny Hamlin got the Cup win at Las Vegas. How about the Xfinity win? Josh Berry got the Xfinity win.
Yeah, filling in.
And there was a whole lot of people at Martinsville. A whole lot of late model drivers at Martinsville. We're glad to see he didn't show up at Martinsville.
I'm sure.
I asked a couple of them, yeah, we're glad he's not here. I mean, Peyton Sullivans, I know he was tickled to death and he didn't run worth of crap either.
No, I expect him to run better now.
So,
And Philip, I thought, well, I mean, Philip's been out for a while, but I thought he would have ran better than he did.
well, never mind.
And where did Bubba Pollard end up?
He finished?
I forgot all about him because I was like,
I think he was
like
16th or 17th, something like that.
I expected him to.
Anyway, in the Truck Series, Christian Eckes got the first win. That's another rookie who hadn't had a win before, got one. At Shenandoah Speedway, the Virginia Sprint Series was at Shenandoah. Billy Hubbard got the win up there. That's win number 3. He can win at Shenandoah and them sprint cars. I'm going to tell you, he's got that dialed in good.
I know he's finally doing okay on asphalt.
Yeah. So they'll be here this weekend here at Langley Speedway. So
Oh, they are?
yeah, they'll be here this weekend. At Dominion this past weekend in the Bandos, Brian Rundstrom got the win, and Trey Williams is the champion in the Bandos up there. Our girl Phoenix Campbell finished 4th. Not one of her better races, but a good solid race. In the mods, Mike Rudy won both of the mod races at Dominion this past weekend. Up at Martinsville, now this is where I'm gonna give you the top 5 in all the heats, and then the top 10 in the big race, and I run down on all the Langley. The pole winner was Daniel Silvestri. I think that was a little bit of a surprise to Daniel Silvestri.
I think it was even a surprise for him.
Yeah. I knew he'd be good, but I didn't think he'd be that good.
And Bobby McCarty locked himself in qualifying, so he was the two of them were the front row for the race at Martinsville. In heat number 1, Sammy Smith got the win, followed by Corey Heim, Jake Crum, Brendan Queen, and Trent Barnes. Heat number 2, Cress Van Dyke got the win. Landon Templeton finished second. Jacob Borst third. Timothy Peters fourth, and Ryan Wilson fifth. See, Cress got a win, so that's another one of my buddies there. In heat number 3, Peyton Sellers got the win. Matt Waltz finished second. Caden Honeycutt was third. Dexter Knight Jr. was fourth, and Connor Hall was fifth. Heat number 4, Lane Riggs got the win. Mike Looney, Trey Cruz, Jonathan Shaper, and Justin Johnson. And that kid, Jonathan Shaper, he's a pretty good little driver. I mean, he had a good heat race, and then he ran pretty steady in the race during itself.
Yeah, I think before the second break, he was running inside the top 5. He was running, I think, 4th at the time.
He's a good little racer. I was impressed with him.
Oh, yeah.
In the big race, at the finish up the night, Landon Templeton got the win. Mike Looney finished second. Lane Riggs was third. Sammy Smith fourth. Jared Pryor fifth. Bobby McCarty sixth. Jacob Borst seventh. Justin Johnson eighth. Daniel Silvestri ninth. Caden Honeycutt was 10th. Among the Langley guys, Brendan Queen finished 12th. Connor Hall was 16th. Matt Waltz was 25th. And Justin Carroll was 38th, but he was involved in an accident. So he had a tough day. He had a tough night with that one. And Mark Wirtz and Woody Howard did not make the race. Mark Wirtz missed the race, and Woody Howard withdrew. Before the race started, he had a broke rear end. Stephen Nasi pulled out for the broke rear end. What's the deal with the broke rear ends up there? This it was like 4.
Yeah, because didn't something happen to Matt? What they were fixing on his car? I seen there had something there, something broke or something they had to fix. I seen him posting pictures early Saturday morning. I thought it was.
Hey, Matt
Works had the
Yeah,
Matt
Mark Wirtz. Mark
No.
Wirtz.
Oh, it was a Mark. Okay, man.
Yeah.
Mm.
So those guys were in the red. I really didn't understand the reason why they're having such a hard time with the rear ends up there, because I think I counted 4 broke rear ends up there this weekend. But anyway, in the Virginia Triple Crown, Bobby McCarty wins the Triple Crown. And this week's driver of the week, does anybody know who the driver of the week is this week? Anybody want to take a guess?
I'd guess Scott Allen, but again, that's just a guess.
You been drinking?
Proud sponsor.
Well, there's something going on there. No, I guess it's Landon Templeton. He got every vote this week for driver of the week. I mean, and he deserved it.
Well, he should.
But then there was this one lone vote Robert Hibby put out there for Mike Looney. You know, Hibby, I think there's something a little bit off on him too. So, you know, that's all I'm gonna say on that. But anyway, great weekend up at Martinsville. I got to hang out with these 2 guys a lot at Martinsville. Nice to hang out with Zach and talk to him a little bit and see what all was going on with him. And then I got to hang out with Skinnell, and come to find out, the best part of Skinnell is his girlfriend, because she makes him look so good. Ain't a whole lot you can do with that. But anyway, so it was a good weekend. I appreciate you guys hanging out and talking with me a little bit. I know Zach wanted to race, but we're gonna get him up there for long.
Oh, absolutely. If we had the right equipment, I mean, we're in an older car. Pretty much every car in that race was brand new or a couple years old. And plus, we just didn't have enough sponsorship money. I mean, as you know, it takes so much to run a big race like that. And you have to bring the best stuff you got. You got to come correct. Otherwise, there's no point of showing up to something like that.
The thing that, you know, and you and I discussed this a couple times while I was up there, the tire deal, how all that changed when you got to Martinsville this weekend, and how the tire deal, how much did that affect what you?
Nothing really. I mean, I wish they would just do one set of practice and one race set anyway. I mean,
What did it end up being?
6 times
All together?
for the whole weekend.
Oh wow.
And then if you made the race,
You got
they gave
2
you
more.
2 more.
If you made it, yeah. So it was, I mean, that was, but a lot of people were looking, when they got there, thinking they were going to get all these tires, because the comment was, we have the tires.
Surprise.
And I think I saw about 3 or 4 people load up and just straight up leave once they found out, because nobody,
Oh, wow.
a lot of people didn't even have F45s or anything.
Well, it's a detriment to some guys, like the Dominion guys.
Oh, yeah.
They don't run those tires. They don't even run a Hoosier, so
Yeah.
they didn't have anything to fall back on. And if I'm not mistaken, I may be mistaken about this, but if I'm not mistaken, Davey Callahan was running tires that they found out behind a barn to practice on, so they could get out there and get some practice laps, and then they put their regular tires on for the heat races and stuff. But that's weird. I mean, I know they were thinking more tires and we didn't get it. So anyway, so that was.
I mean, imagine nobody really had any tires if you were trying to look for some.
Yeah, that's not true.
On the flip side of that, some of the teams that typically can come in there and buy a lot of tires, and then we got the smaller teams that go in there and don't have that kind of money.
Mm-hmm.
So, and someone like Duane just mentioned, his preference is 2 sets of tires. I don't care, what kind of money you got.
Right.
2 sets of tires. Everybody needs to figure out on the same playing field. And let's roll. So I guess in one way, it's, like I said, some guys go in there and buy up a whole bunch of tires and constantly swap them out, but then they get a lot better testing on it. Well, let's make this playing field a little more level.
Now, I don't know how Duane feels about this, but I've seen this go on. I saw this going on while I was up there. You could bring tires to the racetrack. You could bring whatever tires you could bring to the racetrack. I saw tires coming from everywhere. I mean, when I came in Saturday morning, I think I might have told you about it. When I come in Saturday morning, they were bringing tires down through the crossover, just rolling tires back and forth that they were bringing from other places.
Yeah, I saw multiple teams with brand new sticker tires. It's a complete set.
I ain't calling them names, but I saw it too. I mean, I walk around there and I'm trying to figure out. I look over here at this car and their car. I don't see all these new tires, but I look over here and there's a car over here that has new tires.
Mm.
Now,
Yeah, and that should be
how fair
restricted.
is that?
Yeah. No, it's
My opinion is don't bring tires.
yeah.
Whatever you got on your car, that's what you practice with.
And that's what I did. I brought whatever I had on my car. That's what I practiced with all day on Friday.
Well, I even know a couple guys that had a backup car, and they went and took the tires off the backup car and put them on their cars.
Yeah, but they were used. They weren't new, right?
Well, still, the point remains is they had more tires than everybody else did to practice.
Mm.
I mean, because you put, let's say, I don't know how y'all did. Y'all probably run old tires during practice, and then bolted the new ones on for qualifying, and then you started the race on those, right? So, well, anyway, who am I? I'm a rookie at this. Anyway.
Say that again.
Don't look at that.
Huh?
Don't say it.
Y'all get up and buy that bad.
No, we're not. Because I'm getting ready to say something I ain't supposed to.
Thanks, tongue, Jack.
So here we have, we have the Wade County late model track champion. I guess officially soon, or maybe official now, the Carteret late model champion or series champion, whatever they call that down there. And now I hear you're the North Carolina late model champion.
Yes, sir.
Man, you just racked up in your first year down there.
Oh, absolutely. 3 championships in 1 year. I don't think that's too shabby.
No, it's not shabby at all. So what was it like to get up, to go down there, go to some place and I'm going to just come right out and say it in front of everybody. I'm just going to come out and say it where you're not liked. I watched a lot of races where from there on there that I just didn't see where things went quite, kosher.
Yeah, that welcome mat was kind of yanked out after a couple of races, especially when we won the first night there, never even driving in a late model. But honestly, Wake County is probably one of the funnest tracks I've ever driven. It's a quarter-mile bull ring. It's smaller than Southside. We averaged about 13 late models. Sometimes we had about 16 to 17, which can get a little dicey at points. But all in all, it it was really a really fun track. It's very technical. Probably one of the harder tracks to get around, but I'd say it was really fun. I think it was somewhat of an enjoyable experience. I mean, we had our challenges to say the least. I'll just leave it at that. But all in all, I mean, it's a great little track to run at.
He said he had an enjoyable time down there. How about you, Duane?
I did.
You did? You had an enjoyable time?
Didn't sound like it on that video the other day.
Well, heat of the moment. That's all I'm gonna say.
I heard it a couple times this year.
A couple times.
When but I mean, it's good to see that you got down there and got those championships. I think you got one more race to run this year.
Yes, sir. We got one more race at Carteret. I think it's October the 16th, I believe. We have a 60-something point lead there, so that's pretty much sealed up. And then a couple weeks ago, we won the Wake County Championship. And then they officially came out while we were actually at Martinsville that we won North Carolina State for late model. So all in all, it's been a real good year. Real proud of my team. Can't thank this old guy enough. We brought him on beginning of last year, and so far I'd say we've won about 14, 15 races and 4 championships in 2 years. So it's honestly not that bad.
He does. He has a little bit of sense going.
He knows a little bit. Dementia's kind of getting to him.
Go ahead. Now we want to hear your perspective on the season this year. Tell us.
Oh, it's been an awesome year. I couldn't ask for nothing but, honestly, other than the crap we had to deal with. But I enjoyed it.
That seems to be the way that it worked out this year. That if you came from somewhere else, you were not particularly a fan favorite down there, and they were not fond of you. Fond of people from coming down there winning races.
Yeah, about halfway through the season, a lot of Facebook inbox messages. You're a from here. I mean, you're a come here, not a from here. So your best bet is to stay in Virginia. Some other ones. Just a lot of little things like that. But, let me just say there were times that it was super challenging. I mean, you talk about the elephant in the room. It was real challenging. But the folks down there at Wake County, Charlie Hanson and those guys down there, they put on a heck of a show. They really do. They put a lot of energy into it. If you've never been there and you're any kind of a driver and you want to go through there, you need to go to Wake County.
If you're a fan, you need to go watch a good Friday night short track race.
That place is packed. They got a hill. It looks like it's an outdoor concert going on. They start getting there in the afternoon practice, grill it out. I mean, they take their racing serious. So at some point, was there some frustrating times? Sure there were, but when you do come from 3 hours away from another state, and, that brings a little bit of, a little bit of a challenge in the locals and things like that. But all in all, what I saw as a car owner was the team just kind of came together even more. We'd go down and rent the track, work hard. And that's the things that, Zach talks about and other people talk about, the grind isn't always seen, but the results are, so to speak. And, when you're driving 3.5 hours to rent a track to figure it out, they even said several times, no one used to ever come to rent this track. And then about halfway through the season, we'd look up and we're down there renting the track and there's 4 other competitors, and here they come pulling in, because they're now renting the track. So, it was tough. It was real tough. They're very proud of themselves down there. They take a lot of pride in their racing. And I think one of the guys said there, if you ever want to know where the phrase rubbing is racing originated from, it's Wake County. Because you can't make a lap, even if you don't intend to. It's just the nature of it's that tiny. You're coming away banged up. That's just the way it is. So like Zach said, it's a real technical track, something he's never raced. And Duane had never seen the track. Could be proud of them. I mean, they just work their tails off.
From a competition level, though, Duane, what was the competition level there? You don't know a lot of the names that are there. But the competition level looked to me like it was pretty strong.
You had about 5 good cars that could win any given night.
And did.
And they did.
I remember one of the nights that we qualified, I think because there were about 13 or 14 cars that night, and from first to about 10th was only a little over 10th.
Yeah, that's tight.
Everyone's just right there. I mean, all it takes is for you to miss your mark just one time, and that's the difference between qualifying top 3 and being in the back.
And there's 6 different winners on the year.
6 different. I didn't know that.
Yeah, one car won one time, but 6 different winners. And when Booba Dalton was there, he won a couple races while he was there. Brandon Clements and those guys, they raced a few races, not the whole season. They raced a few races there. But
The racing seemed very interesting. When I watched it, the racing seemed to be very good and very interesting how you had to manipulate that track a little bit to get around it.
well, can you imagine a track smaller than Southside?
No, I can't imagine.
13 or 14 late models just going into the corner, and no one's trying to wreck anybody. It's just the nature of it's like a go-kart track. I mean, somebody's going to hit somebody, and you're not even going to intend to do it. You
Right.
just try to make you run a 60-lap feature.
And kind of put it in perspective, it's kind of like the Hampton Roads Kart Club track, just a little bit bigger turns. That's pretty much the size
That's
of it.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I heard rumors while I was in Martinsville this past weekend that you could spin somebody who was a half a track behind you. So you want to tell me about that one?
Yeah, we got. I don't know how we got blamed for it, but we'd be going into 1, and all of a sudden something happened going into 3, and somehow it'd be my fault. So you just never know what would happen at a track like that.
That's how good we were, buddy.
Right.
That was pretty awesome to be able to do that. To spin somebody out. That's a competition level. I can see why they didn't like you too much.
Is that what motivated you some?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And went through several things. I mean, I've been accused of cheating before. I mean, everyone has if they're winning and up front. I mean, but it got to the point where it's kind of ridiculous. It went from us bringing our own practice tires, and then they checked the SKU number, checked the paint marks, they were fine, and then they said we still fake those tires, to illegal fuel. And then this one was the kicker. Towards the end of the year, we mounted a GoPro in the car, and they accused us of having Bluetooth traction control through a GoPro.
So we had to take the GoPro out.
Yeah, we had to
take it to tag.
Oh, really?
Pull the video.
Had to pull the card out, show that the card was in, and then show that it actually recorded a race. But if you go to race in Wake County, you better have some GoPros, because it's going to be you shove me doing it every time. Look at the video. So
That's
we had
funny.
we had to take our GoPro out, and they had to run it and verify it.
How did you rig that?
My secret.
I'm just asking. I thought it was pretty.
Ain't that where ain't Joe's down there? Ain't Joe Staples at
Yeah.
Wake?
Yeah.
Great guy.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Really, really, he did a wonderful job. I mean, his hands are, he ran a good ship, and and like I said, it's, when you get done and you look back on it, it's just a lot of passion there. I don't think anybody, there's people obviously that are going to be that, but
Yeah.
he's been racing for 8 years, and like he told me when I was coming back at 1:32 in the morning, every time we went down, got back at 5 a.m. And like he told me, your dad, I said, I'm sorry you're having to go through this. He goes, I've been going through this with go-karts. All you got to do is go to Victory Lane more than twice, and it's like, there's no way that kid can be doing. Just kind of shrug.
Basically, what you're saying is if Scott ever wins a race, they're definitely gonna holler cheating, right?
Oh yeah.
We probably will be.
The bad thing about it, these guys, Joe Staples was official at Wake County, but he's also the official at Colorado.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So my car gets checked
Twice.
Wake County and Colorado. It's like, dude.
You know what? You seen it last night, right? Joe's a good guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Joe wants to do the right thing.
He does.
That's he's got that compass, that moral compass, where he says, I know this is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So Joe was great. Charlie, the owner, Charlie Hanson, those guys. It's tough when you got all those people screaming and hollering. It's, hey, you're catering to these come heres, and you better remember that. And, but when you get done with the season, you look back, it's just a lot of passion.
It is.
We don't hate anybody down there. I mean, my God, we're virtually advertising for them now.
Yeah.
You know, we pack the stands, you know, those groups down there, man, they love to come out and watch their racers. And
Mhm.
so they're passionate too,
Yeah.
you know, so when he stands up on the hood of the car, it like a common bush.
That
But
booing.
don't they have a cars tour race coming up down there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now I heard a rumor that somebody said you might try to go to that, but you're not saying anything about it. So I guess that is just a rumor.
I mean, we're heavily thinking about it. The biggest catch is it's the weekend before Carteret, and
Oh,
I'd like to
yeah.
get down there, pick up a win, and just celebrate a championship and kind of end the year right, rather than taking a chance on tearing up something. I mean, we're still heavily weighing that option. I think they upped the purse to $10,000 now, so I think if we do run it, I think it'd be a real good shot to be able to run against some very stacked competition. As you know, there's in the cars where there's so many different winners, so many different guys that have a shot of winning. I mean, it's just insane how the competition level is. And Wake County being as small as it is and not being as equipment driven as sort of say like a Dominion or a South Boston, that kind of gives those local guys an upper hand because they've been running that track all year. So if we were to run it, I think that'd be a great track to make a car tour debut.
I don't see Robert looking like he's.
No, well, the problem is the tire situation. That's the only thing that stopped me.
Now I heard today it was a strange thing that a lot of the super late models and the late models at some of the tracks down south have canceled the rest of their races this year. They're not going to run any races because of the tire situation. How was the tire situation at Wake this year?
It honestly didn't affect us too much. I mean, we were the type of people, we didn't really buy that many practice tires. We probably bought, because it's a 2-tire where we run 2 new, 2 scuff from the previous race. And we normally, every 2 or 3 races, we just buy 2 new and just make those do for the time being. But it got to the point, I think like August, they stopped selling us practice tires. And then around September time, they completely ran out of tires. And we ran on the same race tires for about 3 or 4 races. And then the last race of the year, they were able to scrap enough tires together to have a 2-tire race, which was a pretty good way to end the season there.
You want to really test yourself. Run on used tires. When you get done, they say you turn in all 4 because those are going to be your race tire, all 4. Next Friday, you're going to get a bull ring. So now you come back. Nobody has got any grip whatsoever, and you got to go hit 60 laps with 14 cars.
Dang.
That track doesn't have grip to begin with. I mean, I'd say it's pretty comparable to what do you say, like a Myrtle Beach. I wouldn't say as bad, but
Nothing as bad as Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
yeah. And on top of that, you're running F50s, so you don't have that much of grip except for qualifying. I'd say the first 5 laps of the race, and then you just have to have real good throttle control.
Now, Duane, you and I were talking at Martinsville about all the people that you've helped along the way with you've had some heavy, talented people that you've dealt with in the Slate Model Series. Let's go back and compare some of these guys. Compare them with Zach. Where does Zach stack up? Let's say against, you talked about Scott Worley when we were down there and some of the people that you won championships. I mean, I know he's won champions, he's winning championships too, but I'm saying where we fall on the scale. Is there a bigger learning curve he's still got to go, or do you think he's at that point?
I say he ranks right at the top of the list, top 3, who I've been helping, honestly. And I mean, he knows he's got some more stuff to learn. We working on that. But he picks up on it real quick. So I don't have to feel like I'm beating a dead horse. I tell him one time, he does it.
So if you gave Scott screwed you'd actually be beating a dead horse.
I just shoot him.
I would say that, you're a very dedicated and concentrated driver, where some of us, I use mine, we show up and hell, I mean, I got to have somebody on the radio that talks a lot to me because I'm about every lap, and they're like, I told you need to move down a little bit. I'm like, oh yeah. But tell me I listen well. It only stays with me for about a lap and a half, and then I got to be reminded again. But I mean, I know Zach, we've talked about where he will come home and he's watching the video and studying. Not many people have that dedication.
Yeah.
And I would say it probably separates Zach from some from other guys. You know,
I mean, me and him sat there and watched video on Monday after the race.
do you?
When they get over to the race shop, that's one of our things. We already have the card in the computer. They go upstairs, sit at the computer, and they'll study and study. We leave that track at midnight, get home, like I said, in the wee hour of the sun coming up. And half the ride back, he's sitting there with his GoPro linked to his phone, and I hear him mumbling to himself, and golly, they left the inside open. Man, look at this. And he rewinded. Look at this. I said, dude, you won. Yeah, but I made that way too close, you know. But he's been like that again since go-karts.
Who's spotting for you?
Jason Ashworth, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, we brought him on board this season, and
The other guy wasn't cutting
it. As an old man.
Just what we're trying to do is once you get to a certain level, we're trying to develop the guys that don't know how to spot. You know, I've already.
Oh yeah, okay.
Felt like a tie guy, you know, we had to get Shorty to do our ties. And, you know, we had to learn him how to do ties.
Jason done I'm sure Zach agrees. I've asked him many times this year how you get along, how you doing, and he couldn't be happier. I mean, Jason has done a heck of a job. Remember now, they race on Fridays down there. So you look at the dedication of an all-volunteer team that are you know, leaving their jobs at noon, 1 o'clock to make the 3.5-hour drive down there. Jason's one of those guys, you know, gets down there, not only spots, but throughout the day. I mean, he's wrenching, you know, Champa change out of gear, and he's in the front helping Duane.
Mm-hmm.
You know, other guys are in the corners videoing. You know, so
that has to show some dedication too. The fact that y'all go down there and leave on a Friday afternoon and run and run the race and do everything you do
all
there,
tech.
and then drive all the way back
We
at
pull
night
back
to
to
be back home.
We pull back to the race shop usually between 4 and 4:30 in the morning. Not only that, but when we load up the night before. Me, Champ, Duane, and Jason. We get there about 10:30, and they let us get on the track. And we rent the track in the mornings. So he's making laps at 11, and then open practices like what is it? Champ?
12 to 4.
Yeah, 12 to 4. You can show up and pay, and then it's like you have here at Langley, an open practice.
Mm-hmm.
But we're getting there a couple hours before that. Every race, we race 15 races there. I think 17 races there. And he's on the track at 11, you know, just making laps, just trying to get better. These two, what I've been so impressed with them is those two are they can almost finish each other's sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Champ pulls in, no one gets near them. They talk. They'll talk on the radio. Zach gives the feedback. Here's what I'm feeling. Here's what I think I need. Duane to confirm it. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing too. I mean, they'll just, work and work. And where he'll have, before the race starts, he'll have usually, depending on when he puts them through it, every now and then he'll put them through a complete race run. And when I say complete, if we're running 35 twins, he puts them in there at noon doing 35 laps. And then you got a twin 35 that night. So by the time we leave there, he's put 80, 90 laps in the car every time we go there. So we just feel that's what it takes. See, we always say they may outspend us, but they can't ever outwork us.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's all we got. You know, we're not a big budget team. We can't go buy extra tires. We can't.
Well, until you get that sponsorship next year from Jack.
Well, yeah, once Jack comes on board, and it's a whole nother level at that point. Whole nother level.
I'm on the
When
band.
you say that?
I'm gonna demand ARCA next year.
From all that babysitting money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot of money coming in for that.
I heard 55.
That's what I heard.
Did you hear that?
I heard it.
I'm just saying.
There's a whole lot of
Just
money
this year.
Yeah.
And we ain't even over yet.
Can you imagine what next year must hold for? We're gonna put your face on the hood of the car. Man comes up with 55 grand. You can have a caricature drawn because you are a caricature.
We're gonna go ahead and get away from this one.
Duane, has this been the first time that you've been worked with somebody this young that you sort of helped develop?
Mm-hmm.
And what is this different from
Oh, I'm enjoying it.
I mean, it's got to be fun to help him, navigate his career and helping him teaching different things that, the experience that you have has got to be pretty gratifying.
It is. Yeah, he's easy to work with too.
Well, that's just cherry on the top. Huh?
But and Tom and Zach got lucky that they actually found you to be the crew chief, because you're a lot smarter than I thought you were. And
He's smarter than he looks.
so, I mean, that's a pretty good deal.
Keep it up, Jack.
I don't know. You might want to check his phone. You know, he said he will call you. You said you can call his wife, your wife, and he
She's
said
already
I
been
already
on here.
got,
She's
I already
already
got
been on
her.
here.
He's like, I got her number already.
She's already been on here.
I think we were all like,
She's checking. I think she's checking to make sure he was actually going to show up here.
make sure he is here. That's why you wanted to get on camera.
Now I got this is an off the wall question here, but this is who drives to the racetrack every week?
Oh, you the hauler driver?
I thought I saw.
I've done it a few times.
I thought I've seen him sleeping.
You probably have.
You ain't seen this one.
Oh, was that you sleeping?
Probably.
No.
Between that and Shorty.
Yeah.
Short
Okay.
emotion.
You cannot take Shorty in. It doesn't matter if it's a 15-minute drop. He'll be asleep for 14 of those 15 minutes.
Dang.
Well, you close this. Well, after you go to Carteret, you close this season down and everything. Now, between you and your dad and Duane, what are we looking? I mean, you and I talked about this, but what are we looking for next year?
It really just depends on sponsorship. I mean, we're just really going hardcore, sending out countless sponsor packages. I'd really like to travel around a lot. Like I said, it really just depends on sponsorship money, and like to get a new car built in the off season. That's the ultimate goal, and then be able to run the car store and compete against some of those big guys. Be able to just travel around like that, and also during off weekends, kind of bounce around. Maybe here, Soga, maybe Dominion once or twice. Just kind of travel around. Maybe place out in Bend, Motor Mile, anywhere like that.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. But especially the cars too. I think that would be maybe not run a whole season of cars, but I mean run off and on and run some races there.
Oh, absolutely.
And that would be another big learning curve for you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Especially those real big races, 125, 150 lap races, having to learn how to manage your tires. That's something that I kind of struggled with this year, but I felt like I've gotten really better at. At Carteret, when we had the 100 lap races, I didn't manage my tires 100% right, and burnt the right rear off like lap 80, 85, and I'm just sliding around at that point. But it's been a huge learning year for us. It's pretty much my first year in the late model. I ran here in 2019, but I didn't really have a crew chief. I didn't have any kind of guidance whatsoever. It was pretty much me and my dad working on old late models together, and it's really been a blessing this year having Duane, having my whole crew with us, and being able to travel around and being this fortunate to win 3 championships this year.
You know, with the car that we got, that's Nick Smith's old car.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When we were coming out of Legends and looking, and Nick was gracious enough. He reached out to us and he said, "Hey, I got an old Bobby Creech car. It's my old car that I ran years ago. He's got a tarp over it in the back of his shop. You want to go over here and look at it? It's just a roller." And of course, when we pulled the tarp back, I'm going, "Oh God." And I'm going, "Oh God." 2 different old gods there, And so that's what we've been racing. After hours fabrication, Ryan Burrows. I mean, what a pro he is. He put a new clip on it for us a couple years ago. Last year, put a clip on it. So it's a Creech car with a after hours fabrication on the front of it. And but at the end of the day, it's metal. 14-year-old car is a 14-year-old car, man.
Yeah.
So it's kind of our first goal. We need to try and see what we can do to.
What kind of chassis would you get?
That's
Top secret. Oh, well, Duane
Oh,
put a stop to that quick, didn't he?
You don't hear nothing out of it. You don't hear nothing out of it until you act that way.
Right, like half asleep. And he says,
That ain't none of your business.
Did you see the eye he gave me?
Ain't none of your business with it.
So like so many teams, that's what we need. If you're going to compete at the Cars Tour level,
Oh, for sure.
Martinsville level, if it's not brand new, it needs to be a year old or so, because that's what you're racing against, and just to make that playing field level, and to give these 2 guys an opportunity to showcase what they can do, and like Zach mentioned about learning. That's why he likes to go out of state and go to different tracks, because he never wants to be that one track wonder where it's like, oh, he runs real good. Yeah, it's such and such track.
Yeah.
So the Bull Ring was how to race with 12, 14 cars, close quarters. You know, Dominion's more of a, I won't say super speedway. It was a big track. South Boston's a big track. Carteret is the twin to Langley, just like Langley, just has an inside wall. So, you know, trying to diversify them and get them used to all types of disciplines within the late model.
Yeah.
So when you go somewhere, you say, you know, this is similar to such and such track. I think I have a better feel for it. And of course, he puts about 9 hours, 10 hours, maybe a week on the simulator.
Yeah, it was,
So, I mean, just he dials up different tracks, and just studies, takes notebooks, writes it. And he works, plays with this, writes stuff down. Just gotta get new equipment. It's that time, you know what I mean? It's just that time that we gotta try and get that new equipment and get out there.
From a personal standpoint, I mean, I know he's your son. You got to be super proud of everything he's accomplished. But from a personal standpoint, it's got to be great to be able to be behind him to get him to these places and do these things.
You know, it is, Jack. It's, you know, since he's starting, this is his 8th season racing. He's in his 8th year. There's 11 championships. And to watch him get in, like, from go-karts and figure things out, sometimes I just watch. I mean, and every parent feels this way. I mean, take the Pendletons, for instance. You know, we couldn't, Landon's a personal friend of Zach's. I mean, he could not be prouder. Brian's a good friend of mine. We blew a motor up last year, wasn't it? Yeah. Last year at Dominion, radiator leak, blew a motor up, and we had a quick turnaround. I'd known Brian about an hour, just earlier that day, just a quick passing. Calls me on Monday. He says, "Come get this. I got a spare 604. That's what you have to run in limit." And I said, "Well, buddy, you know, right now things are kind of tight." He says, "I didn't say you got to pay for nothing. Come get this motor." This is a competitor now. I don't want to see that boy miss a race. So from moments like that, you know, where they build a friendship, and Brian Pendleton, that whole team's first class, to watching Zach overcome what he overcomes. I mean, he's been called retarded. He's been called all kind of names. He's been, you know,
He's not in that group by himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
So
Scott, we can get
but even though he's my son, and I say this a lot when people interview him and things, it's just what I know he had to overcome, and he says it all the time. I'll tell him, you know, when things blow up at a track or people, you know, he's doing this, he's doing that, you know, and he's leaving with a trophy. And I said, "But I am so sorry you're having to go through this. I don't care what track is that." He says the same thing every time. He said, "Daddy, they just keep poking the bear." He said, "It just makes me make more laps on my simulator. It makes me want to rent the track even more." He said, "So at the end of the day," he says, "you know, they got to watch me." So
yeah. As long as they're talking about you one way or another.
oh, yeah.
But
Good
you know,
or bad.
I did see his fire a couple years ago after one of the races here, and I'm not.
I think I know this.
I'm not going to call names. I'm not going to call any names, but I saw him get out of a car and walk right down there after this guy.
just to talk.
And I just realized, I said, "Hey, he's got it, man. He knows what he did, and what he didn't do, and
you go down there to talk, and then when the names.
yeah, the names got called."
Yep, started calling the names, and but anyway, you know, like I said, it's part of the deal. He gets it, he understands it when you win, you know. But you know what? And this is probably the biggest thing I'm proud of. And I'll tell you guys this right now. There's been times that he's lost a race on the last lap. Davey Callahan, good guy. We raced against him up at Dominion. Davey made a great move on him, and you know, passed him for the win. That's just one race that sticks out in my mind. And Zach's the first one to shake his hand over, and Tech goes over.
Yeah.
And Davey has come over to Zach, you know, when Zach's passed him. And that's truly probably when I'm the most proudest. He'll walk down pit road before a race to people that just posted on social media how much of a sorry POS is, and he'll walk up to them and say, "Hey, man, good luck tonight. You know, be safe." And that beats any win.
Oh,
as
for
a
sure.
dad, because I looked up and I got to tell you, Jack, I don't think I can be that guy.
No, I don't think.
You know what I mean?
I know I couldn't.
I don't think I can reach over the wall and say, "Hey, Jack, great race," knowing what you said, how you raced me. But he finds a way to do it, and you know, at the end of the day, he wins.
I mean, and that's an
You know?
honorable thing. It's an honorable thing for you to do that. I mean, that down the road will pay bigger dividends than a win. Maybe you'll gain that reputation.
But
I
I
see-
see partners too. You know,
but
the marketing partners see that.
But I see, and I'm not trying to put it down from what your dad said, but I see a lot of the younger drivers these days. They have that in them where they go around saying, man, hey, you did good.
Yep.
We hang out together. We do this.
That's right.
But when we're on the track now, we're a different story.
That's fact.
But when it's over with,
That's fact.
we can be friends. We
That's
can
right.
talk. Not like Scott. But, you know, I mean,
We can't talk.
Scott
hold grudges
Scott
too
gets in the car and goes backwards on the track and tries to take you out. But that's not a problem.
When you get mad, you get mad.
Know what you feel.
You don't know about that, do you, Duane?
I sounded like you, but I was in the car, Duane.
And I thought it was that night. That night he was losing it, man. And I was sitting there and I had my laptop
How
here.
could you tell it was him?
How could I tell? Oh, come on. When he turned and told that guy he was a big fat liar, that come right out of his mouth, and the camera was right on him.
Did I say it that nice?
No, you didn't say that. No, you didn't say it that nice. I wasn't gonna
This
say
is
that.
a family show.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna
Right.
say it. But I mean, I can't do that. There are times I couldn't do it, and I know Scott can't do it.
I guess at the end of the day, too, you know, as a car owner and someone who, you know, is looking and partnering with different people, sometimes for a race or two, different companies for 2 or 3 races, you know, we talk about it a lot about you have to remember. Mark Wirtz is a great example of that. In
He's
terms
a
of his
prime
sponsor.
example, and we've talked
You
about it many
have to
times.
remember, not that we're the best at it, but you have to remember the names that are on that car or on your hat that night or on a shirt or whatever. They're going to see every video and everything that you say, everything that you do. You race as hard as you can race on the track. A sponsor and a partner has never called me going, hey, I don't like how he roughed up that 11 car the other night. Now, I don't like it. But you know what? They'll call you and say, hey, that behavior, y'all left your pits and ran down there and started an argument or started a fight. They will call you for that.
Yeah.
They don't want their name associated with, you know, that kind of stuff. They just don't.
Yeah.
The good ones don't.
Yeah. Mark
So-
is a great role model
Yeah.
for that.
And with Zach, you know, I think racing teaches him, and people have said this before on your show, it teaches you so much about life and life lessons. You know, he knows what it's like to have a great car and taking a white flag, and all of a sudden there's a miss because there's something going on. He experienced that in Legends. He's experienced that in various disappointments, I guess is what I'm saying.
Mhm.
So, you know, maybe someone moves you for a win. Well, my first thing is you saw it, you know, but then you guys say, hold on, he did what I'd have done. You know, let me lean over the wall and say, hey man, nice run, good job, get you next time.
Yeah.
And so I'm proud of him because of the man he's become through the venue of racing. But now when I'm starting this new business with do a shameless plug, Victory Lane Detailing, but with his business that he started, I see a lot of carryover. Customers, patience.
For sure.
Things don't go quite as good, you know, as a
Absolutely.
business owner. You're like, man, I really want to give this person a piece of mind. So hold on, I'm representing my company.
You
here. Can't do that. So those things I've taught, you know, through racing, through the medium of racing, I've taught them that too. So
The thing about it is when you're out there in a race car, and how you represent yourself afterwards, you don't know who's watching this. If your future may be somewhere down the road, not with your dad and not with Duane. It may be with somebody in the Xfinity series or truck series or ARCA or whatever. That may be your next step down the road somewhere. And how you give yourself that. It's like I used to tell my son, you don't know who's watching you. But when you do something wrong, you'll know who was there. And
I'll tell you, so responding to negativity on social media, you'll do it.
Oh no.
And I mean,
There's no good comes of
there's,
it.
there's
There's
one
not.
weekend, 48, 50 posts, and you won't find anything with his name on it, because at the end of the day, he understands that's emotion talking. That guy
It
that
is.
just said that about me doesn't even know me. He lives 5 hours from me. He doesn't know me.
Yeah, but then
So-
you got to like his comment.
Don't respond to it. You know, don't get into that fodder. Just go down and be a pro, because that's what the next partner's always. That's why Mark's done so well with all his sponsors. I mean, look how he conducts himself. You know,
And it's a lot of work too. I
It
mean,
is.
sponsors
It is.
are a lot of work.
it is that.
I sit up here, and basically what I do all the whole weekend is I like to keep up with everything going on in racing all over the place, especially with the guy that sends your videos back to me. I watch that. I watch I watch all the Kingsport races. I like to keep up with all that stuff and see what's going on.
Why Kingsport? Why you watch all the Kingsport?
I just fell in love with Kingsport when I went down.
Kingsport or the Kingsport? We'll just say with Kingsport.
Crest don't run Kingsport no more.
Oh, okay.
I know exactly where you were headed, but I knew where you were going. I knew where you were going. It's just like I got another friend that lives in South Carolina, that Scott, who knows who it is. I actually think he gets pissed off because I like Crest.
He does.
I think he gets pissed off because I like Crest but it became a friendship.
Sure.
It's not a racing thing,
Right.
With all of us, it's a friendship.
His wife's good looking.
Well, yeah.
How about them Cowboys?
But I mean, the thing about it is we're all good friends, and I went down there and went to Kingsport, and we really, as a group, I fell in with those guys, and I really enjoyed myself with them. And so he gets you're just all you want to talk about Crest Van Dyke.
You know how it is when you have a stray cat and you feed them, they just don't go anywhere. They just stay with you.
That's me. That's me. That's what they did to me.
That's all it takes.
That's what Carol's race team did to me this weekend. I hung around over there the whole time. The biggest thing is they had a good chair to sit in most of the time I was over there. That was a good thing.
Was that Duane's chair?
I don't know, but he wasn't in it. But his girlfriend was right beside me.
Is that when you got her phone number?
I did. You need to leave stuff alone. Anyway, all right. I know you want before we go. I know you want to talk about your sponsors.
Oh, absolutely. Before I get into the sponsors, I just want to thank everyone that made this possible. Duane, my spotter Jason, Tire Guy Shorty, my whole crew, Joey, Burnett, Tom.
Brandon.
Brandon.
Oh, Brandon. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's his nickname. It's not for car reasons either.
Okay.
Just everyone that makes it possible. Brian Tanner Engines, After Hours Fabrication, Buzzy Racing, Wesley Page Shocks, Lugnut. He's first class people.
Lugnut. Who is Lugnut?
Heads up.
Brandon Laws.
Brandon Laws. Okay, Lugnut. Okay.
Solid Rock Carriers, Kirk Ipot.
No, that's another Lugnut.
Solid Rock Carriers, Kirk Ipot, he came on board with us this year. He's a first class officer. Victor Lane Investments, Brian's Tree Service, Extreme Mechanical, Matco Tools by Cliff Kafka, Vaughn Tech, just everyone that makes this possible. I can't thank them enough.
He said
Victory
Victory Lane.
Lane. Man. Victory Lane Investments.
Oh, well, see, Victory Lane Investments is fine. You can say that, but you need to say mom and dad. Come on now.
That's true.
That's completely separate from what the other thing.
You make a person that doesn't get much attention here amongst this because she really enjoys staying in the background and not being out front, kind of like me. But it's my wife, Amber. Like you mentioned, Mom, all kidding aside.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you talking about, she took on back in the Bando days, she took on the name Feisty Race Mom because, hell hath no fury like a race mother.
Now,
But
now,
she is the lady. I mean, making sure we got plenty of things in the coolers before we leave. She comes on down later on the day, but those coolers are packed. Everything's iced down. She got extra this, extra that. She makes sure all the GoPros are charged. Because we do have, Duane's got a way to do the traction control through the GoPros. So
Right.
Charged up. But she's an unsung hero. One other plug I want to give is Zach's sister, Madison. Now, I'm going to tell you, she's 19 years old, and she would have all the rights in the world to gripe and complain and be that jealous sibling, all the attention. And, we always are having to go here, having to go there. She is the polar opposite of that. She works her schedule around because championship night, going into the last night at Wake, he only had 9-point lead.
Yeah, 9-point lead.
9-point lead, and 2 guys were right on him, and they were running twins for the last night.
Yeah.
So that's all it takes is a slip up, mistake. Bounties are out on him. I mean, literally solicited bounties. Whoever can take him out so he can't win. But she changed her schedule around to make sure she can make the drive with her mom to get down there because she said, I've never missed a championship night. And so those 2 ladies, while they're not out front and they may not be at the shop changing gears and packing bearings, but
Still just
you
as
guys
important.
know, yeah, and your wife supporting you, Scott, and things like that, your wife supporting you being here, those that are in the background don't often get that publicity. Duane's fiance, Jennifer, has not missed a race.
She's my rock when it comes to this.
I'm gonna
Better
tell you,
watch Jack.
she's
I
as
ain't
much.
worried about Jack. Hey, look at him.
Okay. Means me and you don't want to play this game.
But Jennifer is another one of the unsung folks that help out. I mean, she's there. Like Duane said, you remember 3 to 4 nights a week, and even if the car is not destroyed, these guys are under the car. I mean, it's, hey, man, tomorrow night we're replacing bearings. Next night we're doing this. They don't gripe. She runs food by. You know, my wife will bring some food by to the guys at the shop. Those things it's kind of those things that really don't go in the box score. But it's, my wife has been a huge backer and does all those things. Does all those things for us. Make sure his gear bag is packed. And
Now, she did get a little excited at the last race that I watched when Duane was going crazy over there. She did look a little excited to me. I never heard her say anything.
Well, no, but let me just tell you.
Should have been
She-
in Colorado.
Oh boy. Let me just start off by saying she's a Yankee. She's from New York, and she doesn't put up with a whole lot. And so as you can imagine, when you're standing there watching the race and things happen, other things happen, you know, it's she's a mom. She's a mom that just like any other mom. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
that's her kid. She understands racing, you know, she gets it, you know, but I can promise you, it's probably best that you might stay behind your own pit.
Bill Mullis said hello and congratulations to you, Bill Mullis.
Hey, Mr. Bill, how you doing?
And Brian,
Thank you, I really
Brian
appreciate it.
Pimpleton says congratulations to you and your team.
Hey, Brian, I don't know if Landon's watching, but tell him I say congratulations.
And I want to get Landon down here, Brian, because he is the driver of the week this past week. So I would like to get him down here and maybe we can present it to him in person.
That's a first class. I said it earlier, but I just want to iterate. That's a first class group of people. Brian, Landon, just a top notch kid.
And
Really, I'm talking about he. You know, when he and Zach raced against each other last year, when they had a touring series between Dominion on the limited. Remember they tried that touring series. I mean, they're banging, they're moving each other. Nothing dirty, but they're banging, they're moving each other. Landon won the first race. Zach comes over, got his head halfway inside the car, just saying, dude, I'm so proud of you, great job. The next race, they banged and banged, and Zach turned out on top and didn't hardly get the winning that down. And we're all standing around there hooping and hollering. I look up, Landon's walking over, sticks his head in there, pops him on the chest, and man, hell of a run. That's how racing should be.
For sure.
you know, and to think about it, and I'm sure you know, I know you know that he is now the youngest guy to ever win that race at Martinsville.
He put a spanking
That's
on
crazy.
him. Put a spanking on him. He sure did.
So that was pretty cool that he did that. So
Yeah.
Anyway, Duane, would you like to thank Jennifer for everything she does? I mean, I'm willing to let you do that on my show.
Well, she knows I love her, and she knows that I couldn't do it without her. You got to have a strong person behind you to do what you love.
And she's got to be a God-fearing woman that's hanging around with you.
Okay, Jack.
I mean, she's got to be a little bit beyond, you know. Well, yeah, I did test her eyes to see if she was looking, if she could see.
You know, Jennifer, when she first came on board, you know, everything's new to her, you know, hadn't been around that racing world. And like Duane said, in the pits, especially someone who's new to it, you know. But Jennifer now, I mean, she's a veteran, you know, she's done a wonderful job. She supports, just like Amber, and supports. If they got to be at the shop or whatever, that stuff is what
Makes
makes
it
these
work.
racers. Same way with, like I said, getting Zach ready for a race and things like that. They got the mechanical stuff, but so much more goes into.
There's always somebody
Oh.
else that makes it. You have to have those two.
Got to.
You can't have one and not have the other. But anyway, all right. Before we go, we appreciate you guys being here tonight. Before we go, Scott, I know you got an update you want to talk about, and so we're gonna go ahead and let you do that.
Yeah, I just probably want to talk about Davey Millard. He's still in critical condition. I mean, a lot of people want to know how he's doing, and we're all thinking about him. But he is still in critical condition. There's a lot of positive things coming without getting into detail that that's not my place to tell. But the family did. They love all of the pictures and the hashtag DM Strong, thinking about Dave and how he's doing. But he is doing well. Things are looking brighter. Obviously we're all trying to stay positive, but he's not out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination. So if they just keep praying for him. It's funny. I was hoping maybe next week we can take a few minutes and have some people tell us some stories of some of the funny things that he's done. Because it's I've got a few that I was trying to think of one earlier, and I was like, I'll tell that one, and now I'm drawing a blank. Coming over the radio of and when you have a spotter, it's you just have a natural chemistry. And I can tell you, like, so many times Dave, like, you're clear, and I don't look in the damn mirrors. He says, turn, you clear, I turn. And sometimes I'll look at the video later, and I'm like, damn, that was close. Like, I don't know if I'd have cleared somebody on that one. But
He didn't say by how much. He just said,
right. But that's experience, too. And it's funny how, I said a couple of weeks ago that I'd spun out, and it's funny how you can hear. And Zach can relate to this with the tempo in somebody's voice, and how like urgent is when they say clear or hey, you're clear. Like you got plenty of time. That it was like you got 5 laps and 3 guys. And you can hear like, look, dumbass, you spun out. So you need to get back to where you were, but you got 5 laps to do it. Well, I'll tell you that. So the first year when I first started racing, that I think it was like a few laps to go, and I was still learning. Being in a big car, and biggest thing is you don't want to wreck somebody and tear somebody else's car up and tear your car up. You're learning. And I was buying Dash McLaughlin in the 46 car, and I was much faster than him, but I just couldn't get by him. And Dave's like, you got like 3 or 4 laps to go, and you're way faster than him. Guys, like, you need to get on the wheel. So I just moved. I ended up getting in the dash and just moved him. I didn't wreck him. I just moved him out of the way. Well, the next week it was funny because his dad come over. He's like, Dale Earnhardt here. And I was like, hey, Dave said I had to put my big boy pants on, and I only had a couple laps to do it. So I had to go. But there's a bunch of stories like that. So next week I'd like to maybe take 10 or 15 minutes and we can tell some funny stories, because there's a plenty of it. And what's Sean Beluzo's son's? I swear I can never. David. It's David races the carts.
McIntosh.
Yeah, David McIntosh. Well, last week he said before they were going out, before the race started, Dave told him, he says, "Look, man, how about can you make it more than 2 laps this week?" But that's the kind of stuff we would, but just like we give each other hell. But that's how you're good friends.
That's right.
That's
right. When you can walk up and say that.
Right. Like, hey man, can you at least make it 2 laps tonight? Can you do that? God Almighty, man. And you just laugh. But there's some funny stories like that. And I think it'd be fun to listen to those stories, and I think it'd be uplifting for those guys. And I know most of the time they Davey says, not me, that Dave is probably listening. I know they play the show while he's there listening, so he's so at least he can hear it and other stuff. So I think it would be fun for some of us to tell some stories, and maybe you can hear them, and I think it'd be fun and good. But we're thinking about him.
Great family.
I got one more.
100%.
RJ Zacharias. You met you met. I introduced you to
Garrett.
Garrett this past weekend. His dad is in a coma, and I'm not really sure. I think one day this week they're going to try to do surgery on him. He's had a stroke. He's so he's had some.
He's young, yeah, too, ain't he?
Yeah, he's not that old.
God bless him.
But anyway, we'll keep them in your thoughts and prayers too, both of them, especially Davey and RJ, because there's a long ways. And you met Garrett this past weekend. Garrett is a cool kid. I don't care what they say. He enjoyed. I think he talked to you one time during the race.
That was my first time meeting him. He seemed like a good kid.
So
yeah, he's been on fire too for a kid that just started driving and racing.
And so he's got a lot of talent, and so we want to think about them. And he's got his last race coming up this weekend in the New York Superstock Series. I think they're running. I forget what the name of the racetrack is. Oh man, it's way up in the northern part of New York. But anyway, want to keep them guys in your thoughts and prayers. Also next week, if we do that, and we also have the unveiling of the Sean Beluzo.
Yeah, so we'll have David here, McIntyre.
Yeah, we're going to have the unveiling of the Sean Beluzo Memorial Trophy here.
That's going to be cool.
Next week.
Nice. That's cool.
Next week, and we're going to.
Nobody has seen it. He won't even tell anybody what it looks like. So, I mean, nobody has any clue what this thing looks like. So, it's first eyes is going to be here.
That's gonna be great.
Yeah.
How did you guys get the exclusive on that?
Well,
Versus the ESPN and some of the other things. How are you guys able to get the exclusive? Scott,
hey, you just don't know how big we are.
You did the tree, didn't you? Yeah. I mean, you know, connection. You got the racing world.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Scott.
I thought it was Scott.
No. Scott doesn't do the bringing
That's what
people
you
on the
told
show.
me.
Scott
told me
did
that.
Scott ain't the head man on their show.
No,
That's what he
Scott.
told us. You know what he told you? That's what he said.
Scott
He
didn't
does a
lie
lot of
either.
things. But he's the audio man over there. He does all the computer work. I do all the leg lifting for during the week.
Leg lifting.
Every team has a pretty face. Which one is it for you guys?
Oh, I think that's quite obvious. I mean,
He's really funny, isn't he? I see why him and Skinnell get along so good.
Darn diecast is missing.
That damn guy cast was gonna be set right in. I gotta figure out a way I can leave it up here, but I won't forget it.
Absolutely. Put a string around your finger or something.
I can't tell you how many times I'm like, "Where's it at?" He's like, "God damn it!" All right, it's down in the car. We got it going on live in 5 minutes.
I don't like leaving stuff out, where everybody can get their hands on it.
I understand.
We
My grandson's about to die to get a hold of it, and I can't. I ain't letting him touch it. I got them all up on my mantle, and I said, "Don't you even think about it. You can look at it all you want to, but don't you touch them." So
I know when you sign the deal with them for the sponsorship, maybe just get us a suite and we could just leave our stuff there every week.
50,000 goes a long way, Scott.
It
You and I
does.
both know that.
Yeah, I mean that's plenty of tires for the year.
Central State and Eastern State Mental Hospital has a lot of openings over there. I know there's COVID going on. Anyway, that's what we got next week. Hey, look, I had John. Did you see the show with John Schneider on it? You see who brought John Schneider to the show, don't you?
Wow, a clout.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, he was quite entertaining. We didn't talk much about racing, but we did.
Yeah,
Scott said he was working on getting Daisy on the show.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I tried that already. That didn't work.
More $50,000.
That didn't work. So anyway, but yeah, we're gonna have is Big Dave gonna be here with him next week?
I haven't heard. I'll hit David up afterwards and see.
So we get all those people over here and we'll have a little talk.
Yeah, I know he was talking about trying to get Big Dave and Mark Waltz works. I can't. I set them up. Yeah, I get them backwards every damn time. Once both of them start racing, I'm gonna get them screwed up for sure. Because those are both guys that kind of started with Sean. It's funny because when we had Big Dave on, I mean he was like 16 and started, and Sean made him bring his school reports and make sure that he was passing before he would let him come to the racetrack.
Old school. That's beautiful.
That's
old school.
So I mean that's everything he's known it come from Sean, and Marcus started over there too, over at the shop, and so they both, and it was pretty cool to see Mark won it last year. He learned from Sean and grew up through that team and stuff. So it was pretty cool. It was very fitting. So it'll be interesting because it's going to be a big race.
So anyway, keep Davey Millard, RJ Zacharias in your thoughts and prayers this week as we go through another week, and hopefully we'll have good news coming up this week. I want to thank Tom and Duane and especially Zach for being here tonight. I know y'all come over here, got a little trip over here like I do to get here, but
Thanks for having me.
But we fed them thanks to Papa John's.
yeah, and we fed them thanks to Papa.
See how I slid that in there, Jack?
Huh?
I just handed that to you. That was a good sponsorship plug right there.
Okay, well, you did good. You did good.
Well, I really appreciate y'all having us on. It really means a lot.
Well, you've always been kind of, one of our favorites through. I don't want to hear it. And I still let you come, even though Duane came with you. But
I think you just like seeing me.
that's what somebody said this weekend. I must like be hanging around with you up there the whole time I was out there.
We even had fans come up to you and say something.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. We enjoyed it this week, and we'll see you again next week. Please like and share our show, and we'll talk to you again.